Well, good afternoon again. Today is number 7 of the 90-day challenge. I had an interesting time on number 5 and 6. And today I'm going to talk about a morning routine, more specifically, a really good business nugget for folks out there, whether you have a job or you own your own business or you're doing both, as I do. I don't really have a job, but I call real estate my job. But I also have other avenues because of multiple streams of income. And I've got some notes to keep there, but what I'm going to talk about is time blocking your calendar. I didn't really have a clue about that up until just a couple of years ago when we, probably the end of November of 2011, when I joined Lori in the Keller Williams real estate franchise, professional partners. And one of the classes I took was time blocking. And it opened up an amazing amount of freedom for me because I like to work focused when I can, but I do have shiny object syndrome sometimes because I found emails came in and I would answer it right away. Try and be a good servant to my clients and customers by being responsive quickly, because what we've learned in all business training in the last 5 years, because of the microwave society we mostly all live in, is that people want to have instant response. We're told with our mobile app for real estate and or the lead generation systems that we use, if we get an alert on our phone, we have maybe 10 minutes tops to get back to that person. Well, that's not a way to have a lot of freedom to enjoy life, not just work. So time blocking helps a lot. We still do the response rate if we're out in the field or here because that's important to us. But time blocking, really paid attention to it. And I'm going to see if I can show you my time block. It's probably not going to look very big, and I can't remotely control the video here until I get a battery for my remote control device. But I'm going to put that right up there so maybe you can see that. A lot of colors. The colors across the top are all the same, and then the next section is all the same. The ones I routinely do all the time, I keep the same color but different from other colors. And I reserve, let me show you one more time, the squares of blue for add-ins to my time blocking. Across the top, I get up around 7:30. From 8 to 9 o'clock, I'm doing breakfast, making coffee, reading a daily devotional, and reading in the Bible. And to me, that starts off my day with some great information to get my mind sharp and motivated. The Bible's a pretty great human life manual, if you will. And I often find time in that hour's reading to check out something quick that's non-Christian religious, if you will, but, another speaker. Perhaps it might be John Maxwell, which I use a lot because I get a minute with Maxwell every day, and I post that on social media because they're great inspirational tools, and along with Bible reading and a devotional, get your mind focused on where we ought to be. The next one I use is from about 9 to about 10, sometimes a little more, is I spend time on social media. About an hour, maybe an hour and a half. I have allotted an hour and a half, but I don't always do an hour and a half. And what I'm doing there is seeing what's been posted early in the morning, because there are certain times that are best to be engaging on social media. And we'll go through that in another video. But morning is one of those. Early morning, before 10 or 10:30, which is why I have 9 to 10:30 for that purpose, and then later in the afternoon or evening. And so what I'll do is I'll say happy birthday to everybody having birthday. I've created an amazing birthday comment that people really like. And then I'm going to see who's doing other things, see all the notifications I have because I haven't paid attention to them from my cell phone yet. And I'll respond and engage quite a bit back and forth, write comments, like stuff, post up other pictures and or motivational material. So that whole time is for that purpose. Then around 10:30, again plus or minus, but definitely that slot is I make a green smoothie every other day with enough left over for the day I don't make one, and that's one of Lori and my amazing health things that we do. I would say if people just did green smoothies 3 to 4 times a week, you'd drop 20 pounds in 60 days with nothing else done, other than watching portions of what you eat and not too much fat. You have to have some fat because that's what carries nutrients. Another day for that nutritional idea, because Lori and I are both health aficionados for sure. Because of her condition, we started into that, as I said in the second video, around 2000. And so I use a green smoothie, and they're wonderful, and they taste just great. And then, from 11 to 12 is kind of open. Lunch goes in there. I do add-ins. We have a couple of charity events to do tomorrow and the next day, Tuesday and Wednesday. And then I'm going to scoot lunch at 1 p.m., so I leave that time open for meeting with people, which is great. If nothing's there, then I'm going to spend that time online marketing. And then I have, let's see, 1:30 to 3, I work on marketing and take online classes. And so I'm doing that all the time in real estate. And now I've added the Empower Network marketing platform, in which I find tremendous for the products I have so far. So that I'm in the process this week of redoing my time block. And I think these white marks in the middle of the day around lunchtime, for most people, I do mine at 1 because the smoothie was at 10:30. I think I'm going to put in or rearrange real estate and or the Empower Network learning process in there. I have taken a break on purpose in here right around 3. And then from 3 to 6:30, I'm open in 2 different blocks to go to networking events as I see them necessary, or just continue online with marketing. I think you'll find time blocking is really a great idea. Now, I'm reading a book called The 4-Hour Work Week that was recommended by people who are traveling at the moment. And I'm finding that book really fascinating for how to even better organize. I mean, that book is interesting at least and fascinating at best at the moment. And it's got some assumptions that you already have an up-and-going business with lots of staff, or you're about to get staff, because delegation and leverage is the key to that book. But one of the things you can do to have better time, and the book goes into it, so I'm not going to read all the passages, but there's 2 things I'm implementing this week. I'm in the process this afternoon and maybe tomorrow during my time blocking that's available, is creating an email message that says to any message I get that I look at email at noontime and 4 p.m. every day, so that I can be more effective and be more of a servant to you, my client and customer, rather than drop everything I'm working on and check email all the time, shiny object syndrome. And so I have discovered that if I'm working on a landing page for real estate or a blog post for real estate, and now these video posts, focus is the key to get it right and to be succinct and to provide value and not be distracted. And it takes a while to plan what I'm doing for you today, and it helps me at the same time. So I'm doing that, and my phone number, I'm going to give out my cell phone number, and it's going to be just for emergencies, because I've learned over the years, plus this book reiterates many times, most things are not an emergency. And if you empower other people, they will actually get a lot done. And I learned that when I owned my plant and flower business back in Maine for all the 22 years that we talked about business the other day. So that's what I'm doing. I'm implementing noontime and 4 p.m. to check email and respond to that. My phone number's for emergency purposes only, and I'm not going to answer my phone, how you doing? I'm going to ask my phone, how may I help you right now? Because that's what it's for. And so the idea is to train people to be more self-sufficient and use the resources we provide online to answer some simple questions, and then be available on purpose and focus for them at 2 different time blocks in the day. Probably be an hour apiece, because we get lots of mail. So that's what I do. I mean, I use my exercise, because you need exercise. I don't do a lot, but I do a great upper and lower body work in the pool, usually in the evening when it's warm out, which is usually warm here from May through October. And the pool is still at over 80 right now. So, yeah, but we did have a cold front come through last night. I had the windows open. It was only 66 degrees outside, which is totally unusual for right now. So I do my exercise then. And when it's too cold to swim in the pool, once winter comes, then I do push-ups and sit-ups and stuff in the house. Same time, first thing in the morning when I get up between 7 and 8, because 8 o'clock starts my time block. And that's probably a pretty good routine, and I hope that you got some value from this, and I think we can go into that. Post down below, ask questions. How do I set up that time block? What do I make important? Just let me know, ask your questions, and we'll get to it. You have a good day.